Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept a storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and developments like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, here the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guess. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson. The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch stores type. For that soft right, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost they souls, niggas got holes in they feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it. It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind, Theta Waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Best.
Crumb TV.
Can't beat us, join us, please bring your coinage. We sink 3-pointers, money shots all net, all vets. Bumps we not, jet skiing in them sunny spots. With women edible like gummy drops. Dummy stop, dummy stop. No weapon form can intercept a storm. Once my intellect is on, I'm projecting on magnetic fields and interact with blacks with athletic bills. I'm all about growth and development like residents of Ebbets Fields. Not to choose between woo and chew. We wanna line them colors up like a Rubik's Cube and fade to black, here the truest hue. When you say the black man is God, who you alluded to? The usual, Clarence 13X, a worthy guess. The words expressed come from the word in flesh. Elijah M, the NOI versus Leviathan. Messiah sent from the heavenly branches. 7 P's from since G-Dub cut down the cherry tree. In the wilderness of North Mex, and we flossing death and forced aggression, or forced perception, forced protection, or forced confessions. It's all a lesson. The sorcerers from Corsica, killer tonics, sticks and drums like the Philharmonic Orchestra. You niggas still playing harmonicas from officers, fabric softener. Jive turkeys popping 5 perkies, playing with keys, the Scotch stores type. For that soft right, we could've caught life, just being forthright. First class on my 4th flight, popping out like Fortnite. Every night we lit like Porsche lights. The meek shall inherit the earth, oh yeah, the scorched type. And these niggas, they some hoes in these streets. Me, I'm 10 toes in these streets. They lost they souls, niggas got holes in they feet. Shit, I'm just worried about the craft and how to perfect it. Not worried about the craft, yeah, that's out of perspectives. Focus on the chip like I'm Robert Kraft, and then how to protect it.
It's the waves of the oceans. Get to the money, nigga, save your emotion. Descendant of the slaves in the graves in the oceans. Mastermind, Theta Waves is in motions. These niggas, they addicted to the folly, addicted to that molly. Making me a movie, them sticks made of holly. I'm Dr. Manhattan, sitting on top of Manhattan. When I get all 5 rings, snap my fingers and pop up on satin. Dressed in all black, yeah, drop top the Phantom. Blast.
TV.
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Welcome, 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 welcome to another episode of Melanin Mondays. You are now rocking with the best. This is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. And that song that you just heard, that intro right there, that, ladies and gentlemen, that is called Theta Waves, all right? That is Theta Waves, featuring the twin pillars, all right? So, how's everybody doing? Let me know how I'm sounding on the audio. If I'm coming through clear, let me know. We have a beautiful show lined up for you. We might even have some surprises and whatnot. But what we do have is an announcement. We have a double header today. Monday is a special day, I guess. There's going to be a double header, ladies and gentlemen, and that will feature Blue Pillar a little bit later. I'm looking at around 8 p.m. possibly, and Blue Pill is going to be joined by Professor James Smalls, and he'll be presenting. I'll show you right now. This is going to be a very informative show based off of what is going on at the UN right now. So tap in with that. Where's that? Boom. The reparations report. All right. The reparations report, ladies and gentlemen, featuring Professor James Smalls. The reparations report. All right. It's some information that y'all need to hear about, and the elder is in a position to explain it and to break it down. There's a lot of stuff that you're not going to hear about on CNN. Of course, this is, new media, black news. You know what this is. So we're going to bring you the information that you need. So definitely tap in as soon as we're finished with Melanin Mondays. All right. So let me go and do the roll call. Let's see who's in the building. And the live from yesterday, it wasn't taken down. What they did was they blocked it because I had to there was like copyrighted material in there, so they was trying to block it in places like Russia. So what I was doing is I was editing the videos. I was editing, So the one on Know the Ledger 444, I believe that's up, and the other one on Know the Ledge, that's still being edited. And you just got to give it some time. It's like a YouTube edit. Charleston is in the building as always. Shout out to Charlestown. Atlantic City in the building. Shout out to Atlantic City. Yay. Shout out to the Yay area. North Las Vegas. Oh, we got Kingston, Jamaica. Wagwan in the building. Kingston, big up yourself. Norwood. We have SC by way of Jersey. Bowie, Maryland. Red, when you gonna drop that Red Winter album? The family is ready for you in blue. Yeah. It's coming soon. It's it just has to deal with switching into what is known as album mode. And that's like a process. I just can't wake up in album mode. I literally have to switch into that mode. Oh man, Bob Law made transition. That's the OG from New York City. We had him on Know the Ledge Radio, as a matter of fact. Bob Law had a seafood restaurant in Brooklyn, And Bob Law was very instrumental in black radio. He's a legend in black radio. Dallas by way of St. Louis, Shreveport, rising power to Bob Law. Shreveport, he's an elder. Shreveport, Louisiana, Texas A&M. We got East Oakland, Town Business. All right, the boss. I sent you that email back. You know what I'm talking about? That was some good bars that I heard earlier. DC in the building. We got Alabama. We got Tucson. NC is in the building. Tough London, Mississippi, Spartanburg, Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. Newark, Phoenix, Wichita Falls, the Mondam across the pond, Ohio, Nevada, NOLA in the building, you heard me, Rotterdam, Kings Mountain, all right, Melbourne, Australia, okay, Chicago, nigga. Boston, okay, we got Ireland up in this thing, Suriname, okay, we global now. Flint, we got Providence, we got DMV, Cincinnati up in this thing. Somebody say get Max B on Theta Waves. Ha ha ha. That'd be a legendary remix. That'd be crazy. Can he ride that wave though? That is the wave god. I wonder if he could ride that wave. Southern Oregon. We have East Flatbush in the building. Okay. Polkton is perfect for your event. Yes. I just was on the phone with the family over there in Polkton, where we will be doing our 72-hour boot camp. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know, are you aware that we will be in Polkton? All right. We will be in Polkton, North Carolina, which is right outside of Charlotte. We are going to be doing a 72-hour boot camp, right? I call it the lock-in, and it deals with open claw, but I'm also extending it to Claude. You know, Claude, Anthropic, Claude Cowork, Claude Code. It's a bunch of Claudes. They got a whole bunch of things that this is like it's a system that does about 7 or 8 things, and then we're also gonna give you all of the skills, all of the features, all of the plugins, everything that you need for your open claw. It is going to be legendary. Everybody that's tapping in to the boot camp, guarantee that you're gonna leave on some boss shit. I guarantee you that you're gonna leave bossed up. You know what I mean? Make no mistake about it. This is the level up, right? And the best way to deal with the quote unquote technology, because it's moving so fast, and because it's like you could do things over the phone, you could do shit on Zoom and whatnot, but this AI is more hands-on. This new technology, the agentic AI, is more hands-on. You know, it's easier for me to show you how to do it than to tell you, if you understand what that means. It's easier for me to pass out a workbook with a bunch of prompts and steps that you could take, and we're right there. We're making sure everything is going through. We're troubleshooting. We're making sure that everything is on an up and up. That's what we'll be doing in that boot camp. Make no mistake about it. That's going to be legendary. East Flatbush in the building. Prince George's in the building. And we made it in North Carolina. So the family from Georgia, Maryland, DMV, Virginia, and all surrounding areas could drive there. You don't got to fly. You could drive there. Okay. I need to see all of my Charlotte family in the building. And also, I don't want to forget, I have to mention that we are definitely going to be incorporating all things nature in this 72-hour boot camp. So when everybody rises, we'll be rising on the early side, right? And we'll be grounding. We'll be working on our breathing. We'll be sun gazing. We'll be sunbathing. We'll be eating the right foods. We'll have the sea moss in the building. The A game will be in the building. We'll have the honey in the building. All of the products will be on deck. And yeah, we'll be tapping in. So I look forward to seeing y'all in the building. The QR code for the trip is right there above the flyer right there. You could scan your phone over the QR code and you could get more information. Okay, you could definitely get more information. All right. Okay, Dr. Alim is in Henderson too. How close is Henderson to Polkton County? Let me know. Okay. Yes, real deal Indian land. I already know. I already know. You know what I'm saying? I already know. Real deal Indian land out there. You feel me? So yeah, I already know. I seen the pictures and whatnot. It looks very, very indigenous. Okay, so it's only 2 hours. That's dope. That's dope. I gotta reach out to the God and see if he could pull up. Houston, what up, Houston? Indeed. He's closer to Raleigh. Okay. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Shout out to everybody in the Carolinas, both north and south. That mystical, majestic land. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to every that ancestral, historic land of the Carolinas. You dig? Big up yourself. Yeah. So let's get into these things, man. Let's get into the conversation and whatnot. This is not going to be one of those 3-hour shows. This is actually a part 2 to clean up what we started yesterday. You know what I'm saying? We was taking them out. We was taking the trash out. You know, we was in the kitchen cooking and whatnot. But it went over the 3 hours, so we had to get up out of there because, you know, we can't be on YouTube doing lectures. And it's just information overload when it goes past the 3, and you know what I mean, when it hits like the 4 hour, you know what I mean, people got things to do, so we try to keep it at a minimum. But I know that I see y'all enjoying those 3 hours, those 3-hour shows that we've been doing. Y'all been diving in the archives and eating up those episodes, following the narrative. I appreciate everybody tapping in. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get right to it, y'all. I ain't gonna hold you. Let's get right to it. Let's open it up with the chocolate goddess. You see the chocolate goddess right there. Let's give it some this is we got chocolate Godiva. This is Hershey's right here. This is Hershey's.
Remove media offices after judge reinstates New York Times press credentials. October 15th, a whole bunch of media walked out of the Pentagon because the Pentagon was trying to make them sign a new contract, basically of what they can and cannot say, what they can and cannot cover. They wanted to move them to a secluded part of the building. These journalists said this is against the First Amendment. You cannot do this. And they fought. New York Times ends up suing the Pentagon. New York Times ends up winning. So now, instead of accepting defeat, the Pentagon has now decided to get rid of all media within the Pentagon. When we're actively in the middle of conflict, our eyes and ears that are barely on the ground, we barely get an update. We have no idea what's going on. And now the Department of War, the Pentagon, has decided that we don't need to know anything at all ever again. This is history. In Iran, only their leaders are allowed to have internet. The general public does not have internet. So we don't know really what's going on there. You get 5 years in jail in ISRO if you show where anything has been hit, or if you, especially sensitive areas like Bebe's house, you will get arrested and you will be in prison for 5 years just for documenting what's happening right now and the devastation that's happening in ISRO. So no one's covering that. And then here in the United States, the Pete Hegseth, who is head in charge of the Department of War, he has said in a press conference he doesn't like the headlines that people are seeing. The headline says this, no, it needs to say this. Like, he is actively changing history in real time. And we don't know the numbers of how many military personnel have been hurt, injured, sick, dead. We don't know any of the real numbers. And it's now illegal to even film them. So in a time where we're all being lied to actively, and in a time where we're actively at war, we have no idea what's going on. They have removed the media.
Facts.
There's zero accountability.
Facts.
This is unprecedented and people should be worried. You're not, but you should.
Shout out to all of the reporters. Shout out to all of the reporters, okay? Because y'all have been on the front lines giving our people the news against all odds. I don't think people understand that this war, because I'm calling it a war, they're trying to play with words and they're trying to call it a conflict. No, this is a war. Okay, let's be very clear. This is a war. This war is being censored. This is the most heaviest censored war in American history, unbeknownst to the public, because they might not even realize what's not being shown to them if they don't know what to look for. They have no idea what's going on if they're not aware that something is going on. But I want to be clear with y'all. I want you to know this war that we are currently in happens to be the most censored war in history. This administration just happens to be the most censored administration in history. When do you remember somebody holding 3 million files, right? And then when do you recall the government or the Department of Justice releasing any files, whether it is Watergate, Bill Clinton with the sex scandal? When was everything redacted like that? I know the only thing that kind of compares is 9/11, because of course, when you see redactions, when you see all of this quote unquote top secret and they're holding on to things like the Kennedy files or the UFO or the MLK files or the Malcolm X files, then you know that they're basically hiding something. Okay. So this administration, this more so than the second, more so than the first, is an administration of is an Orwellian administration. Okay, it is an Orwellian administration. All right, and people have no idea how much they're being censored and whatnot. Even with the technology, even with the algorithm, even with Meta, even with them taking over big media like Paramount and everything, even with the TikTok takeover, man, we have no idea how much good media we're missing out on. So for Chocolate Godiva, everybody that's been consistent, Professor Yang and them, I want to say salute for the hard work, the arduous work that's being put in and keeping people informed on the front lines. Let me finish up with this goddess, and then I got a special.
I'm here to Jeezy stamp everything. I'm just here to make sure people know that I am the person that told y'all. That's all I'm saying. I'm the person that told y'all that these are things that you should pay attention to, and if you choose not to pay attention to it, that's on you. Okay. The Defense Department will remove media offices from the Pentagon after a federal judge sided with the New York Times in a lawsuit challenging limits on reporters' access to the building.
That's crazy. They just removing the press corps from the Pentagon? Like, that's unprecedented. But without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring to you a special guest that we have in the building tonight, none other than our good brother Blue Pillar 44 in the building.
Peace, Elder. Peace, greetings. Give me 1 second.
All right. Yeah, y'all clap it up. Blue is in the building, y'all. We got Blue to come and report with us. So this should be very interesting. While we wait for Blue to come true, let me show you this real quick, and we're gonna have this conversation. Check this out.
Stuff like this is the reason why I will never quit talking. I'm never going to stop. Trafficking is the biggest business in the entire world, hands down, and everything needs to be exposed. Nick Cannon, can you explain this? Why you're dressed up in a pizza suit, riding a piece of pizza? I didn't post it. He did. Look at the left-hand corner. He posted this on his main page. Y'all do know what Pizzagate is, right? He's a part of the trafficking of our children. They're a bunch of vampires. They're also eating them. Oh, I know it sounds wild, but I already told you what it was. Y'all remember that he was on Nickelodeon. He had his own show with Dan Schneider. Do y'all remember? It's interesting that he would be a part of something like this, but they control him and everybody else. All of them are part of Hollywood. He has 100 children. How can you be a part of something like this? Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is Dan Schneider, right? The owner of Nickelodeon, right? I believe he had to step down because all the allegations that was coming against him. A lot of people were coming out saying he was doing foul play stuff to children. This is him. This is the same guy that hired Nick Cannon. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? He's one of the biggest pedos out there, hands down. He's certainly on the island list, just like the rest of them. Nobody's getting a pass. You know what they should do? They should start doing public hangings.
I never heard any one of the celebrities publicly speak against this dude, even after the documentary. No tweets, no podcasts, interviews, no freestyles. Literally, I did not hear anybody. There's a lot of them from Nickelodeon. It's a whole generational run of them. Nobody pushed back against. Nobody threw the same thing like when Weinstein was getting dragged and whatnot. Crickets, bro. Straight crickets. You heard a lot of noise from the bleachers, but these celebrities that are contracted and whatnot, they're guilty by their silence. Call it the silence of the lames.
Pedos. But the problem with that is you will find out it's your governors, your politicians, your police officers, your doctors, your lawyers, your teachers. You hearing me? Your presidents. You start to find out that all of them are involved. This is Nick Cannon's show on Nickelodeon. Are you starting to see it now? That should let you know that he has direct ties to trafficking. I know for certain that he was on his spiritual journey, but they came in and shut that down immediately and told him to follow the script or else. That's exactly what he's doing. I'm going to show you how this is happening and where it's happening at. I'm going to show y'all how it's happening and where. You're going to be amazed and you ain't going to believe it, but so be it. Pay attention to the next video. I'll be back.
Good old Nick. Good old Nicholas Cannon. Let's talk about it.
For all intents and purposes, because maybe I came in late.
Yeah.
And because I saw something earlier, where they was saying, they was saying something about Nick, but I couldn't quite catch it because I didn't click.
I caught it.
There'd be so much clickbait out there that I don't, you know what I mean? If I don't got
caught it.
Minute. So yeah, what exactly is being said? What was that advertisement was for? Rod the Crust? Was that for like Italian tourism or something?
I think he got a new show coming or something. They got him in a whole, he was riding on some pizza with a whole outfit on with pizza slices on it. I'll play it again. The Nick Cannon fallout though, that wasn't even that. That's some other thing. Nick Cannon and Chili from TLC are in the same pot right now.
Oh, so they call it.
Yeah, he avowed he did a Nicki Minaj.
He Black MAGA?
Yeah. He Black MAGA. You know what I mean? Not just regular Black MAGA. He said that the Democrats are KKK. Okay. He said the Democrats are KKK, and he's riding with Trump 100%. What he failed to mention, though, he failed to mention who's inside of this cabinet. He failed to mention where the KKK is really at these days. He failed to mention the January 6th, the Proud Boys, the Oath Takers, all of these people. Stephen Miller. I mean, he just glossed over that.
Nick said that.
Yeah, Nick said that. No turban, Nick. Yeah, turbanless Nick. Yeah, turbanless Nick.
Yo, that's crazy. Because like 3 weeks ago, I had came across a Facebook memory, and it was a meme when Jay and Beyonce was sitting at the Knicks courtside,
and they was watching him walk past.
They was watching him walk past with the turban.
They was disgusted.
Like, fam.
Yeah, they looking at that like, how could you come outside like that?
What are you doing, fam? Are you a hotel now?
Yeah, he's the turban has been retired. I think he might have just sent that to Professor Griff as a gift. But the turban is gone, my G. You know what I mean? And he's back at it.
Yeah, but that was a good observation that you made. Let me definitely give you credit where it's due. You know, you didn't hear nobody speak about Dan Snyder. And to the that's like Lauren's generation. That's like our youngest sister.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, all of the shows. I only seen Nickelodeon. I only know about these shows because I saw them. My sister used to watch them. And then, you know, other situations would evolve out the years.
Right.
With you being somebody's, you know, space and their children are watching these programs, and then you start.
You could say it. You could say it when you was playing stepdad. You can let it slip out.
This nigga's a retard, yo.
She's watching Teletubbies.
You seen the nephews? Yeah, with nephews and them.
Yeah, with nephews.
And then so iCarly, you know, all of these shows between Disney and Nickelodeon. I wanted to become familiar with what the programming was. You know what I'm saying? So I would pop in every now and then and be like, yo, that's wild suggestive. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the children don't understand the nuance, but it was a lot going on. It was super suspect. And then the children were shifting into cosign and suspect behavior. So it was even hard to have a conversation with them because they was acting moist.
Right.
No,
I remember
the
Teletubby generation, that sect. I remember when the girl Hannah Montana, because this is post Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, they already skin out, they already kind of like did their thing. They was with Madonna and got turned out.
Right.
And then after
Hannah Montana came, and you was like, how long is this going to take to go left?
To go left, because Britney and then was our generation.
That was our generation.
When they flipped them, they kind of flipped the girls. They were like, you know, Nickelodeon, Disney princesses, and you know, they were kind of they were enthralled.
Like somebody said, the Amanda Bynes.
Yeah, Amanda Bynes. What's her name? Selena Gomez.
Ariana
Grande.
The blank stare look.
Raven. Yeah, and then remember, God damn it, Shorty, Rudy from the Cosby Show. She was spearheading. She was like, I think she's like the throughway between our generation, Raven Simone. Not Rudy.
Yeah.
Okay, not Rudy. That was
some point Easter night pull 'em, who, you know, got a big toe in consciousness, just like Malcolm did. So shout out to them. They be in the audience.
Yeah, shout out to Keisha.
But Olivia, right? That That was
Her name
Raven
was
Simone.
Olivia on the Cosby Show, right?
Yeah,
Young Olivia.
yeah. You
Oh
know,
gosh, Keenan and Kel. Yeah, that's when I knew y'all was in trouble. Everybody
yeah,
that was watching Nickelodeon, I said, "Oh no, they lining them up."
yeah. So that was like KT, Lauren. You know, our younger siblings. That was their generation, and we were looking at them not so much with contempt. Me personally, I was in. You know, I was kind of busy in the mix of things, but every now and then, when I would drop in and I would take a look at what was going on, it was crazy. And I can only pray that they had the guidance or the wherewithal to understand the nuances, but attempting to spend time and put them on when we was trying to make them woke back then, these little niggas was not
It
they was
was
not
not
there.
working. Yeah, they was they
Wasn't
was
there
they had
for it.
walls up.
They wanted to embrace a lot of weirdness. So you would be like, yo, I'm over here doing
The
X, Y,
love,
and Z. I'll see you
right,
when you come to your senses and come full circle. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And if you get too bad, I gotta take you out back like old yellow.
Yeah, now they want to listen to Jada Kiss and all of this. They want to be, you know what I mean? Yeah, Orlando Brown. How could we, you know what I mean? Orlando Brown and Amanda Bynes. They should
Yeah,
just put them on a poster together.
whole generation.
Whole generation. Aaron
Whole,
Carter.
right?
So, right. So theoretically speaking, the Christina Aguileras, that these are Mouseketeers, really. They pivoted from the Mouseketeers into music. So I'm bringing up these artists, but these are mega stars, ladies and gentlemen. We're not comparing them to the Nickelodeon cast. We're talking about Justin Timberlake, In Sync, the biggest boy band at that time. They were so huge, it's hard to explain it. They didn't necessarily get they didn't get turned out, and they didn't get I mean Britney Spears got cloned, but her, the way that they did Amanda Bynes and Orlando Brown's generation and Tatiana Ali and all of that,
Yeah. Look at
they did
Shia
them bad.
LaBeouf. Look at all of the cracks. Look at all of the cracks. They all crack. They all breaking. Shia LaBeouf is
Gone.
he's spent.
Remember my dude Melvin, they got murked from Moesha.
Which one? The one that Merlin Santana?
Merlin Santana. He was, yeah, Merlin Santana. Was he tapped in?
Hmm?
Well, there was something going on with Merlin that had me like drawn to him. Something was going on with him right before he got tapped out.
Remember, I had interviewed him right before
That's what
two.
it was.
Yeah, 2 weeks before he transitioned. We went and interviewed him. He was doing rap. He was rapping like Tupac though.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
son was mad nice. Let me speak on his behalf. And I did not expect what I had encountered. They invited us to the studio, and we went, and homie was rapping his ass off, and I was like, Dominican, and he had an interesting story, and I was becoming familiarized with it. Because again, even at that point in time, I still wasn't even looking at TV. Like even that TV programming was for our younger siblings, even at that point. So this was 2002, I believe, the year that Jam Master died, because that same month, Jam Master transitioned October 30th, and then we interviewed Merlin a few days after he transitioned. So we had to split the cover of the November cover, and that's when I interviewed Nas and Chuck D. So we had a quadruple cover, because I was like, nigga, my Nas interview got to go on the front. No disrespect to Merlin, but I went to his funeral and everything. May he rise in power. He had a
Yeah.
very strong family, and I just remember the suffering of the loss that I couldn't put it in words. You know what I'm
He was
saying?
Dominican, you said?
He was Dominican. He was
Mm.
from the Heights.
He's from Washington Heights. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So may he rest in peace. There was another brother, the other brother, that was the dark skinned brother that was on Moesha. He transitioned before him. And that happened because of, I believe, gang politics. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, so they was out there in LA by themselves, you know, going through rites of passage, learning how to be young men, and they was dipping and dabbling, you know what I'm saying, with the women of that particular situation and area, you
Right.
know. And I think the other brother, the dark skinned brother, I forget
Lamont
his name.
Bentley.
Yeah, he got pulled into a situation and they sent them up. But yeah,
Mhm.
you know, just looking at them shows and understanding what we knew at that time about the the conversation that was around Hollywood
Right.
and that were not yet proven. Everything was
It was all
insinuated,
speculation at that point.
speculation. Everything was conspiracy, for lack of a better term. People were still trying to figure out the activities and of Michael Jackson, right? People were still trying to rationalize, even though Corey and Corey Haint, all of them, they were speaking around these times. They was all telling it, you know what I'm saying? But
Oh, the Corey Feldman and them from the Lost Boys and all that.
yeah, they was on their campaigns. They was telling it. People wasn't listening.
Oh yeah,
You
they
know what I'm saying?
wasn't listening to that shit.
Because once again, you know, there wasn't proof. And just like now, people are still aspirational towards these industries because they want to break into entertainment. They were super aspirational back then, and they just didn't want to hear it. Yeah, the two Corys was pouring their hearts out, and I was just being rational in my observation to sit back and say, who would torpedo their career like that, and who would jeopardize their lives like that, and who would ruin their friendships like this? Like, Hollywood is a closed society. Like, who would ostracize themselves willingly and knowingly? These niggas is not looking for attention because they're not getting hired. They're not
Right.
putting themselves in position to you know, to gain attention just to get in position. Like, no, they fell out with this shit and they trying to tell you to help you, to warn you, stop sinning, stop sacrificing your children to Moloch.
Moloch.
Right.
Ball.
I watch, man, how are you, first of all? Because I just, you know, showed up on the screen and shit. I don't want to,
Who, me?
yeah, crash your engagement.
Oh no, I'm lit. I'm chilling, man.
So,
Mhm.
same way, comparatively, that you had to do a deep dive into the um psycho spiritual origins of AI and the computer. You know, I think that your inquiry into AI sent you further down a rabbit hole and sent you all the way to qualify, for the most part, the origins of the computer, right?
Yeah.
So for my research, for what initially was this upcoming lecture on Saturday, I'll speak about that. But I had to go into some very deep and dark places to do
Huh.
research, because you know the things that are happening in the world have some very dark overtones to them. So I had to go into Ball research. I had to go into Moloch research. I had to go into, you know, all of these a little bit deeper into the demiurge, all of the
Right.
dark spaces. And the further you go back in antiquity, the darker it gets. And we're not just talking about melanin, we're speaking about the orientation. Shit, the daffodils did not come out until after the New Testament. Everything prior to that was blood soaked. You know what I'm saying? It was a different world, and it was playing by different rules. Um, but the ball research has been very interesting. The Moloch research has been super interesting. I caught I caught you live last night, Sacrilegious Sundays.
I
Um,
caught your live. I
I was
caught
about
your mineral ministry.
it came after an epic episode, and I like the contrast. I like where you take it, you know, with the information and the news. So you was hitting on some points. You was cooking. And I saw you going into the segment about, you know, Iran and when they burnt the effigy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How
And that,
serious that was,
yeah, that
unbeknownst to.
unbeknownst to the random observer, how that was that was a line that was crossed. There had to be revenged, if you will, right? And the precedent that this particular entity or deity, the precedent that this particular entity takes when you understand the overall scheme of things,
Right.
who these people are, what they're into, and how they have modernized what they're into to catch up with the current paradigm, where the worship of an entity or a deity has now branched itself out into an entire system. So you don't even know what it is no more because it's so encroached and entrenched and systemic. You feel me?
Yeah.
That you don't even know that these are the things that you are, quote unquote, paying homage and worshiping, sacrificing your time, sacrificing your children. You know what I'm saying? And
Fact.
again, the nuanced nature of what this means in a modern time. If you knowingly know that it's some shit that, or if you even have a hunch or a feeling, nigga, just let alone if you send your child, you know what I'm saying, off and shit to some places that is not, and I can't even say like, oh, if you send your child to family, because a lot of abuses take place there. So you
Right.
can, like, if you send your child to a stranger, you could send your child to somebody that you swear that you know, that you swear is a loved one. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
the potential to be offered up for sacrifice. And what I'm saying is that you could sacrifice their innocence. We're not speaking about wholesale, right, taking of one's life, right?
Right.
We're speaking about spirit cooking in so many regards. We're speaking about people physically being present in the body, but there be no soul there because it got compromised. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's just a
I never,
shell.
never said sold, right? I just said compromise and conflict, stirred up where it cannot be unstirred, shit like that, you know,
Can you
toothpaste out.
do us a favor?
Yeah.
Can you touch on the whole uh Yaldabaoth ball and all of that? Can you just give us a little bit of some insight as to what these deities are and why they are still being quote unquote
Oh, right. Yeah.
fed?
So I'll say it like this. And this is a hard pill to swallow. So Baal is a Phoenician god, right? And
Yeah.
the Phoenicians are the Canaanites. And the Phoenicians are the for the most part, later on the Chaldeans, and the Chaldeans are the Carthaginians,
Right.
right? So every which way you switch and turn, just like the Philistines are melanated people. If you want to play this melanin game, if you want to play this game of who we are, where we're from, the continuous evidence shows in these regions that are non-disputably melanated,
Facts.
right? They had a deity that they paid homage to. This deity was named Baal, and Baal is a title. So the title, the etymology of the word means Lord or Master, right? And he was also known as the Cloud Rider because this particular entity was responsible for thunder, right? Which is an
Right.
agricultural import because after thunder comes rain. And the thing that pulled the majority, the deity was formed in the lab or the mind of man, right? As
Right.
an externalized measure for him to get certain things done, right? So he's praying, he's putting his faith in things, right? And then he is now um making a vow or a offering, right? Because God is transactional at the end of the day. And the
Right.
majority of all gods that we're speaking about are transactional. So different gods want different things transactionally wise for them to come to the table, right?
Fact.
And in regards to what has been misnomered as Moloch, right? Because they're saying that it's a mistranslation, and people are just not understanding the ancient, antiquated aspect of these particular deities, and they're misnomering it, right? And interestingly, they said that the original phonetic rendering or description of Moloch was MLK.
Yes. When you take
Right?
away the
Just
vowel.
like Moloch is Malik,
Menelik.
is Moloch, Moloch is Malik, and Moloch is Moloch. So take the vowels out and keep the consonants, and you got MLK. Now, what was Moloch? It was a burning effigy that you brought your children to, almost like a burning home. See where I'm going?
Yeah.
So MLK later on becomes this personification of a messianic force that allegedly brings his people into what? A burning house as a sacrifice. You understand?
Then you
Not
got El
only
Malik.
not random people, but the children of Canaan who have the curse of Canaan on them, right? That are in a forbidden land for 400 years, almost retroactively playing out how the quote unquote scripture played out with the curse.
Right.
So you have a people who are understood to be Canaanites. Why else would you have the curse of Ham? The curse of Ham was put on the children of Canaan.
Right.
They said that the curse of Ham was constituted in the fact that you were slaves in this particular land from 1619 to 2019 was the 400-year period. That brings about, critical race theory and the 1619 project, which brings about a militaristic response to woke. Why? Because they understood what was being done at this particular time. The niggas was moving out of the phase of the curse into the phase of coronation and then to the phase of redemption, where now you are receptive or receiving reparations for what was done to you 400 years prior. And I'm not saying this is not politics I'm speaking about. This is eschatology. This is scripture.
Right.
This is the way that, quote unquote, the redeeming factor is supposed to happen after. They said like 7 years of being a slave, then you get 7 years, and then, you know what I'm saying, you start getting your after Jubilee, you get coronated, and then after the coronation, they hand you back the keys to the kingdom and give you remedy and redress.
So you say the window is 6 or 7 years for that?
It's technically 7. It's a 7-year process. You
okay, so great. So I uploaded a show that I did in Virginia, and it was in 2019, right?
Yes.
And the name of the show, I named it the Jubilee, because in that show I was talking all about the Jubilee. This is This is in 2019. This is when Nipsey died. Right after Nipsey.
Where you was at?
I was in Norfolk.
You was in. I need that.
Yeah.
I wasn't with you.
Nah, I had got booked to do a podcast. You feel me? And they sent for me, and I went down there and knocked it out. So we're I
said okay.
We're looking at we're in 2026. Yeah. So
7-year window from.
Think about it, Blue. Just look at the trajectory of how things are moving, like how look at what 7 years may bring. I mean, theoretically speaking, it does look like in 7 years, if we are able to maintain this path, or we're able to keep, stay focused, it will do what it's supposed to do in 7 years.
Right. But shout out to the brother Troy _TBS. He made a comment. He said, okay, receipts all day. I don't know if I'm messing the family's name up, but 2020 was a Jubilee. We were told money fell out of the sky that year, right? And then bro said he was in DC. You remember that like yesterday, right? Hustle transition date is tomorrow. Yes, we talking 2019. Hustle's transition anniversary will be tomorrow.
It is
331. But what they're speaking about with Jubilee, yes, the whole 2020 year, I was going with a narrative called Corona Rising. And my narrative at that time was that we were in our Jubilee year and COVID was initiated to throw us off of our Jubilee. And the evidence that we were in Jubilee, we were partying even during C19. And the party was led by Day Sun.
right.
Once again, these are biblical terms and biblical characters out of the book, right? The young man, Tory Lanez, his name is Daystar. You know what I'm saying? His father's name is Sunstar. He's a Leo. These are motifs for messianic force. I'm not saying he's a Messiah. I'm saying that he was created specifically to house messianic force. His daddy said so.
Right. He did.
And he has played these parts continuously, right? And we could go into that, and I will if I need to, but nonetheless, from Club Quarantine to Versus, right, to the corporations cutting the check for over 800 Bs. So when the Trump admin came in 2.0, the first thing that they attacked was DEI, but they attacked DEI specifically because the payouts that were attached to those proclamations that the corporations made was supposed to hit this year and last year.
Right.
You feel me? So it all depends on how you look at it. Them doing the shit with the Kente on in the Congress, all of these apologies that you was getting all of a sudden from corporate, all of these apologies you was getting from the Karens, all of the marching that was taking place under the skies of George Floyd, where the whole world said, I've had enough. The spell or the curse was over. And then they put you in a new one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely broke.
The minute you got up out of that shit, you got out the shower, you washed it off, you was getting to put your new gear on and all of that. And they propositioned you right in the dressing room, put the jabbing thing in you, and you know what I mean, and got you right
Switch
before you
up.
got switched you up right before you made it to the Freedom House. So that's a small window. Then the larger window is the 7-year, because the Catholic Church comes up last year, right, specifically, and they said that this is our Jubilee year, and it's called the year of hope and mercy. That's the year that the Pope transitioned, and we get Pope Leo. We finished cooking on their helmets in New Orleans. I mean, these things did take place, even to the degree that today, of all days, I'm on my phone and I'm going through my receipts on Facebook, and I see that 2 years ago to the day is when the Vatican recognized what was being said about the action of the discovery, and they rescinded it, right? Responding to the indigenous Vatican rejects doctrine of discovery. That was from 3 years ago today, 44 days after we did a lecture called When in Rome 3, where I ended that lecture, right? I'll read the thing that I wrote. What we not going to do is play blind to the great divine speaking through signs. 44 days after our last When in Rome lecture, the universe has produced receipts all in one fell swoop. What do we say at the conclusion of that lecture? That the doctrine of discovery will have to be rescinded or else.
Right.
And then 44 days later, we see the materialization of a prompt that has produced results that were thought of as impossible. Imagine how many avenues of lawsuits may potentially open up. Oh, and all of this, and Francis is in the hospital. Okay. So we didn't just cook up the results. We also cooked up and told you that, about to chase the crazy bald heads all the way up out of town. So, I told him, I was like, I'm gonna rest my case to me and you do a show on it. Time to lay the receipts out and see what else we can do with our quantum affirmations.
Right.
So today, on the anniversary of 3 years ago us making a proclamation that they have to rescind the doctrine of discovery or else. And they did it. I got an interview after this with Professor James Smalls, where we're going to be doing the reparations report, right? He spoke to the president of Ghana directly, and he was even at the UN when the proclamation was made last week. So we're going to speak about it strategically and collegially, removing the emotions, and we're going to speak about it like strategists, right? To really put people on game about what the play is now, because now the gates are open. Now the designation that has been put on record by way of the UN is that it was a war against humanity. We're speaking about the transatlantic slave trade, and now you are entitled to get redress, and you could get that redress through a myriad of different ways. But the best way to do it would be a class action lawsuit against the Catholic Church, who were the progenitors of the doctrine of discovery, or the papal bull of 1493 called Inter Caetera.
Right.
You do it as a melanated block, or what they call the sixth diaspora. But again, we'll get into some dialogue later on, and this is a open-ended discussion, meaning that if you got a better way to do it, I'll show up and listen to your program as well. You know what I'm saying? And this is not the hill that I came to die on. This is not, I'm not building my legacy on this. I just happen to have commentary because I actually read the legislation of what's called the UNDRIP, United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People. And I saw the angle in there where they allow you to get your redress if you get your indigenous identity together, and then you come together as a nation. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the brother Oba. We had an explosive show over here as well.
Yeah, shout out to Oba.
3 families equal a clan, 3 clans equal a tribe, 4 tribes equal a nation.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Let me see if I have a video to play. You brought up Cuba. I did want to share some good news with the family that Russia today was able to break through the blockade. Yeah, they broke through. They sent a ship with I think it was like 600 tons.
Yeah, so, I didn't see if they broke through the blockade, but I know that
Russia broke through the blockade. Probably paying attention to all of the shit happening in Iran with Pistol Pete and them getting slammed. They like, man, I'm calling your bluff. So they broke through the blockade, and they pulled up to Cuba with fuel, food, and assistance. 730,000 barrels and whatnot.
Not a lot.
So keep in mind, they were able to persevere and bring their electrical grid back. You know that, right?
No,
like they were not plunged into darkness. They did not stay in darkness. They fixed their grid in about 3 days' time. Yes. They fixed the grid, and the grid was back up and running. So they are on the up and up. Okay. In terms of resilience. Yeah.
That's the shit I'm talking about.
And for anybody that's in the audience that might not understand why the provocation against Cuba is what it is, it's because they cannot allow a socialist country such as Cuba to succeed and give anybody any ideas and whatnot. So the same way that Haiti is basically being blocked from prospering, is they sent the Clintons and other people in there to throw them off, is the same way that Cuba, same way that Iran was being sanctioned. You brought something up, and it gave me, I was like, oh yeah, the reparations with Iran. So do you want to talk about the Iran reparation movement?
Well,
their list of demands,
yeah,
they're standing on the fact.
in order, if there's ever to be a ceasefire, if the U.S. is ever to come to the table and negotiate, right, the people who they'll be sitting across from have a list of demands because the cards are in their hands. So their list of demands are, they have a myriad of different lists. You know what I'm saying? One of the most damning ones being that the U.S. is going to have to flee the region, right, for their safety, for their sanctity, safety, and security. But they also want to be repaid for damages. So they want reparations for the structural, mental, psychological. They're going through the whole spectrum, you know what I'm saying, of what qualifies as reparations. And once again, you know, we are potentially seeing it being done by nations to nations, right?
Yeah.
People are missing, you know, they're making these demands specifically as a sovereign nation. And that's the conversation that you continuously hear in the commentary, that this is an illegal war because sovereign nations cannot randomly, you know, attack other sovereign nations. So there has to be a redress because now you have crossed the line, you stepped over, and you violated international law. You're going to have to pay for that, right?
Right.
So setting the case, and they're saying, yes, you're going to have to pay for infrastructure damage. You're going to have to pay for psychological damage, right? And then they want redress. They want back pay to the fact that they have been on these sanctions. And then, because it's like, look, you had a sanction, you had us cordoned off from the rest of the world, but then as soon as your bombs start dropping, y'all lift the sanctions and allowed us to make 100.
Crazy.
I mean, yeah, you know. So it's going to be so interesting. These next few months going forward. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. I just don't want to put everything out there. Make sure that y'all tune in tonight though, because I'll save it for when I'm there with the professor, because we're gonna cook.
Right.
It's time.
Right.
It's time.
Right.
I'm saying
Definitely time. I'm gonna play a few videos and we're gonna react to them. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and let's throw Pistol Pete up there. Check this out.
Fuck the news. Pete Exit today announced the Greater North America. It is, you know what? Let's have Pete explain it to us.
Strategic map from Greenland to the Gulf of America to the Panama Canal and its surrounding countries. At the Department of War, we call this strategic map the Greater North America. Why? Because every sovereign nation and territory north of the equator, from Greenland to Ecuador and from Alaska to Guyana, is not part of the global south. It is our immense security perimeter in this great neighborhood that we all live.
Man, these crazy bald heads.
Yeah, so
they've officially declared, you know, this was already building up. It's a part of the doctrine that was already rolled out. They call it the Monroe Doctrine. Corollary, I believe, is basically a take on the Monroe Doctrine. So what they're saying is the greater America, the greater USA is basically going to be from Greenland all the way to the tip of South America. They don't want no ops in their backyards. They don't want no ops in their perimeters. They don't want no socialist programs, anything of the such going on around the quote unquote USA. Now I'm calling I'm calling BS. I'm calling big BS. What do you say?
I say that again, as Christian nationalists, Zionists, they are playing an identical hand to Israel because the Greater Israel plan is being rolled out, right? Some can say to resounding failure, and others can
Yeah.
say is going according to plan, right? According to the professor, you feel me?
Right.
So if Israel can have a Greater Israel plan, right, then why wouldn't
Right.
these Zionists, Christian Zionists, have a Greater American plan? And yeah, it stretches from one extreme to the next because, like you said, they want to exert control of the Western Hemisphere because it's going to come down to the global North versus the global South. So we're once again we're literally sitting and watching the restructuring and the reshaping of global politics, and the question is going to remain, again, for those of us that are checking for it, what role does the melanated nation play? What role is the sixth diaspora going to play? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Are we going to miss this opportunity altogether by isolating ourselves and marginalizing ourselves and not seeing the global restructuring take place? So because that also means that they're going to be aggressively, um, you know, walking down and against anything in this country that appears to be not with the program, not on code, you know what I'm saying, or unnecessarily bugabooing them for things that they feel like didn't I already step on you for that?
Right.
Reparations, right? Um, so yeah, it's just an interesting observation. Is definitely it should not it shouldn't surprise anyone that they have larger ambitions. They want certain things to fall like dominoes. They want to take Cuba, then they want to take Colombia. You know what I'm saying? They're
Yes.
actively in where they in right now. Not El Salvador, not Nicaragua.
Ecuador.
They're in Ecuador right now.
Yeah. They're
You
in
know what I'm saying?
Ecuador. Bombing shit,
Yeah,
you know, doing a little doing a little thing.
yeah, right. So
Hmm.
they're running, in the back roads, drilling and partnering. This is almost like Iran Contra 2.0, but now they got boots on ground. They're not
Right.
just facilitating in terms of supplying, the forces with X, Y, and Z. They're in the dirt. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Now I see it. I've been bringing up the fact that it's a lot of moves being made in that region for the purpose of, getting into that prime real estate, which is the Amazon jungle, okay, which is uh very, very, they need that right now. They need that area, they need that land. I remember when Bolsonaro was kind of doing the dirty work for them, and he was clearing out, they were
Yeah,
committing
he
acts
was
of, huh,
he was aggressive in the Amazon.
very aggressive, you feel me? And then they got the whole thing with the cattle, they doing this whole thing with the Brazilian um cattle company. The Brazilian meat market has basically taken over the American meat market. Pause. And
Well,
they're the
yeah.
one.
This is the Bolsonaro effect because the cattle farmer in Brazil was one of the main reason for Amazon deforestation. Because
Yes.
remember, cattle farming or cattle cultivation comes by way of that's what's considered civilization. That's when people came out of the forest, right? Because in the forest you have food supply, and they started agriculture.
Right.
Agriculture is the evidence of civilization, which Sabi says is the collapse of other systems of humanity, when you started having to raise fields and grass to now raise livestock and cattle, you know, this is what he's considers to be the end of nature and the beginning of civilization, because civilization is not natural, it's man-made, right? You're domesticating undomestication to create a situation that's conducive to you now doing something that's not natural to the land, such as raising cows in a rainforest type ish. So they have extraordinary large amounts of land to raise cattle, but they're some of the best at what they do.
Yes.
Right. So yes, they yes, Brazilian cattle farmers and Brazilian beef, you know, I guess up there with Argentina beef, pause. You know, yeah, they got the game on lock. Rest in peace to Bob Law.
Yeah, I brought that up earlier. You know, rise in power to the elder. I saw King Simon post it, and he was very impactful in media, new media. I mean, radio, black radio, which preceded new media. Okay, and he also had a health food store and a fish
Yeah.
market.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that Brazilian Wagyu, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was very instrumental in Sabi's ascension in New York by way of him putting Sabi in on the radio, New York media. So there was three institutions that my mother credits with their meteoric rise when they came here, and this is also a blueprint and a map before social media. These are the things that made Black America move, for lack of a better term. It was Black radio, it was the Black church,
Yep.
and the Black newspapers.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Um,
sir.
and these were the effective mediums that one had to use to get the word out if you didn't have a $1 million advertising budget type ish, right? But you really wanted to whip a word up.
Right.
These was the mediums. These was the spaces and
The
the
outlet.
places, the outlets that you had to you had to play these outlets. So Sabi, masterfully did his thing with Bob Law and on the radio, and Bob Law showed a lot of support, and you know what I'm saying?
For
She
sure.
she attributes him with being very instrumental in helping them get the word out. So rise in power, good brother Bob Law, and as you say, he had a health food store in Park Slope that was very vital and instrumental to the community. And I think that I interviewed him twice on No Less Radio. I know we definitely did. We had a legendary show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was a good brother.
He
Was a good,
was
yes,
good elder.
yeah, like super down to earth.
Very
He was
strong will.
very strong will. When I saw him, he was always like full of light. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Yeah, and he touched a lot of people's lives in a very positive way. And to me, he resembled strength. He always had a strong stature. Every time I saw him, he had a strong voice, he had a strong stature. And when I was in his establishments, he was about his business and he loved his wife.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Rest in peace to Bill Donahue. You know what I'm saying? Bill and Phil Donahue, man, them white boys is good with us. Those was allies.
For sure.
Yes.
You know.
Legendary Bob Law and his wife Mintu. May they both, you know what I'm saying, find peace and comfort.
Oh, his
And may
wife made transition before him.
with their service. I believe so, yes.
Okay. Indeed. Let me get to this video.
Yeah.
I've been unpacking the Saudis and whatnot. You know, I've been
just dealing with this whole UAE type of
GCC,
expose, huh?
the GCC.
Not really the GCC, just the origins of the UAE, their Jewish origin, the hand that they're playing in the genocide in Africa. You know, just dispelling this whole Dubai UAE type
Yeah,
of spell that
right.
they had on my brothers and sisters. You know, with the Jalabins and just America in general. Because remember that whole push that they did before this war broke out, where they bought EA Sports, they got boxing, they took
Mm-hmm.
golf, they
They,
basically got tennis,
yeah, they're moving on golf hard.
hard body, you know what I mean? So all of that is in the water right now because they've been they are the emperor with no clothes. You know,
They got
they are the biggest losers of this whole entire situation, I feel.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but let me throw my guy on the Summer Jam screen real quick.
Leader in the Muslim world, there is no leader in the Muslim world that has influenced the decisions that are being made to move the Muslim world to support the state of Israel more than this crown prince. He may not be taking the credit for it, but I can tell you, having met with him, he is, in fact, the key person that's leading.
So to everybody in Israel, you could have no better partner in destroying radical Islam than Saudi Arabia.
We didn't have Saudi Arabia, we wouldn't have a big base, we wouldn't have any reason probably. I mean, if you look at Israel, Israel would be in big trouble without Saudi Arabia. So what does that mean? Israel's going to leave? You want Israel to leave? We have a very strong ally in Saudi Arabia.
A total re-education program against anti-Semitism, including in the mosques, among the mullahs. They don't allow them to preach jihad and Jew hatred anymore.
Man, not even at Juma can't get it in. Lord.
The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia said, Islamic fatwas have been updated. Pagan and Christian holidays can now be celebrated within the borders of Arabia. Seriously, what's going on in Arabia, and why do we always hear about the Crown Prince when there's a king? Let me explain. In 1918, with the Ottoman withdrawal from Arabia, a serious power vacuum emerged in the Arabian Peninsula. The Hashemite family, descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, were respected at the time due to their lineage. Because of this, they ruled over Mecca and Medina. The current rulers of Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, were then ruling the Najd region by the sword. During this period, the Hashemites made the mistake of trusting the British and received promises from them of establishing a great Arab kingdom. But the British would do as the British do. Rather than creating a great Arab state, they divided the Arabian Peninsula, establishing separate states like Iraq, Jordan, and Palestine. Meanwhile, the Saudis remained neutral towards the British and instead relied on the religious authority of the Wahhabis. When the Wahhabis' influence over society combined with the military power of the Saudis, they took Mecca and Medina from the Prophet's descendants, the Hashemites. The Hashemites were expelled from Arabia, and in place of Hashemite Arabia, Saudi Arabia was founded. So what about the Hashemite king? He exists. The Jordanian royal family is of Hashemite descent. Anyway, the bottom line is that Saudi Arabia was founded under Wahhabi influence. Although not officially, the kingship passed from king to nephew within the dynasty. That was until the current king, Salman bin Abdulaziz, came to power. 2 years after ascending the throne, the king dismissed his nephew from the position of crown prince and from the Ministry of Interior, replacing him with his own son, the current crown prince Mohammed bin Salman. However, becoming crown prince was not so easy. Because the succession system passing from uncle to nephew among princes, the wealthy, and ministers was disrupted, dissenting voices began to emerge within the dynasty. Then, in November 2017, the event that would go down in history as the Ritz-Carlton operation took place. The current crown prince gathered all the country's wealthy individuals, princes and ministers, at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel on charges of corruption. There, they were all subdued. Thus, the crown prince's path to the throne was cleared. And since that day, while a king exists, the crown prince is the sole decision-maker. His goal, foreseeing the eventual depletion of oil, is to modernize Saudi Arabia and transition the country away from an oil-based economy. This is why, despite being contrary to Wahhabism, he is promoting women's participation in social life, easing alcohol bans, and issuing fatwas allowing the celebration of pagan and Christian holidays. These kinds of prohibitions are seen as factors that scare away foreign investors. Are the Wahhabis silent about this? Of course not. But most of them were subdued during the Ritz-Carlton operation. The Wahhabis, who once enabled the Saudis to establish their state, are no longer very powerful. Fatwas now pass through the crown prince's filter. This turns them from an authority into more of civil servants. So all this modernization is not intended to change the regime, but on the contrary, to keep it in place.
Now, I do want to remind everybody that this was Jerusalem in 1925. This is that land that we're seeing in the Levant, all right? This is who was there, okay? So we can't let these people that keep playing in our face about these Ottomans and these Turks and these Mamelukes that are over there now. They did a lot of cleansing of original people, ladies and gentlemen. This is not original Black God video. This is a real video showing our people in Jerusalem, right? Okay. Even in Saudi Arabia, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, he brings all the receipts about how they got cleansed and whatnot, and how the original Arabians were, of course, of heavy melanin hue and whatnot. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Crown Prince and all of the stuff that's coming out on these Saudis?
You know, this is the stuff that I learned in 2000 and, early. So it's just all playing out to confirm that those backroom meetings I was having, some of the most brilliant minds in the world was in them. So it's like everything that they taught me about the House of Sword initially, and they brought me to books and showed me empirical proof that these people were related to Zionists.
Right.
They explained to me the whole Wahhabi connection. They took me to the Quranic translations and explained who was related to who and why and what, you know what I mean? So thank you to my
enlighteners.
My enlighteners, my contingency of master teachers who hit me to the game. And I've been looking at it from that perspective ever since. And that's the only thing that makes sense. Cause I'm like, and it's a very touchy situation because I know amazing people that are part of the dean, you know what I'm saying? I know amazing people who are really believers.
Yes.
And it's very difficult, to have these conversations. It's almost like being critical of Zionists, but saying, I got Jewish friends. Like, I'm not making a unilateral statement against all people that come underneath that cloth. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same as saying if I'm if I'm being critical of the House of Sword and the way that they have modernized and commercialized, the sacred home of Islam.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that they're playing triple sides, that's not me being subjective. I'm utilizing a very available observation. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was getting, garments,
pieces of the Kaaba.
Pieces, right, from the Kaaba, people that were leaving their sacred, garments at the Kaaba when they was making Hajj. These are sanctified pieces of clothing based on the ceremonial rituals that were done. They were requesting consecrated. They were getting it sent to them, to the pedos. So it's like, what are we looking at and what are we talking about? Oh, them people get down just like them. We know about the toilet parties, you know what I'm saying? And we've been known about them. So these are not people who ascribe to any moral authority. If we hear religion and we think automatically, oh, these are, you know what I'm saying? These are the standard bearers of morality. Nah, that's you getting duped, right? You're getting duped. Once again, it's very dark people, hiding behind very bright clothing.
For sure.
And,
let's continue.
And it shows that. Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. Let's continue rolling on them.
American troops were killed bombed. North Korea levels of propaganda. This is what I mean, because overnight, American troops were killed, bombed, surprise attack.
در جزیره بوویان را مورد تهاجم ترکیبی موشکی و پهپادی قرار داد. در این تهاجم با انواع پهپادهای انهدامی و موشک‌های بالستیک تعداد زیادی از تفنگداران تروریست آمریکایی کشته.
Instead they hit Twitter and go with the second attack and say, hey, that was false. No U.S. personnel have been attacked in Dubai. You see how specific that is? Guess what, bitch? This ain't fucking Dubai. And so if we just had American troops killed for another country, I need to immediately just assess the situation of what the fuck is going on. What's the plan? What's the end mission? And if you're wondering what our greatest ally is doing, well, zero boots on the ground here. What could they possibly be doing? What they're best at. Killing journalists and then immediately saying, well, he was undercover. Hezbollah, you ain't know? 2 journalists in the middle of a street, bombed them, and now they're bragging about it, making AI pictures, half press, half military. They are a cancer to the entire world. They were letting us know, yeah, we just blew up 2 journalists. How awesome is that? War crime. Won't say anything about the American troops that were just ambushed, but instead they're posting highlight videos of us blowing up ships and say, oh, we're destroying their navy. So if we destroyed their navy, why is the Strait of Hormuz not open? Why is oil not being shipped through there? Because these motherfuckers is bombing ships that try to move, groove, vibe, slide at any point in time through the strait. Because they have control and we have none. We're getting fucking rocked over there, son. It should already be eye-opening that Central Command and nobody has decided to say anything about the Saudi air base attack and how many troops we have lost and how much of our shit was damaged. But I want you to take it one logic step further, and that is Iran is sending a message to Saudi Arabia and they are sending a message to Dubai of, if you even host American troops on your area, bases, doesn't matter. We striking that shit. March for air, you guessed it. Death, Red Bull, nowhere in sight. Why? Strictly for fucking Israel. They decided to mess with the bull. Now they're getting the fucking horns. This is war. This is not a military operation. They see American troops, they bombing that shit. And you have to question, what the fuck are we over there for? Are you still telling yourself, well, we can't let them get a nuclear weapon? Really? Huh? We know it's way worse than you guys were leading on, because when you let the old man go up there without his handlers, he starts spouting out actual truth.
And then they hit us, and they came from 17 different angles. They were here, they were there. We ran for our lives. It was over.
Interesting. So it was a lot more than just a fire in the laundry room that turned that ship around. Now, I want you to, at home, to sit and ask yourself, how many troops is enough dying for this war to make sense for you? Are they going to die and then you'd be like, you know what, now we need to go in there? Because they would have never died if we didn't go in the first place, and our greatest ally would just put boots on the ground. We'll see our greatest ally on the ground because it's too dangerous, and we're the goyim that can get slaughtered like cattle with no problem. Now, later, we dive into the BB files because he was doing some iniquitous shit.
Man. What are your feelings about the censorship surrounding the plight of this engagement or this war?
I mean, yeah, they you know, they would have to practice censorship. Yeah, somebody that's a perfect statement right there. And because of that, I literally had to go and watch that movie again recently, right?
Right. They're recommending that and Idiocracy.
Yeah. Both of my favorites, right? Shout out to Blue Dream. If you go and see Wag the Dog, right, they tell you that the scenario that they created, which was war, was to hide a scandal that the president was in being inappropriate with children.
Right.
So it's literally the same play, in the same way that they was using Hollywood productions and AI, you know, and clips and everything. It's the same thing that you're seeing now, that they are attempting to create entertainment as a byproduct of full-scale escalation, you know what I mean?
Right.
To rock people to sleep with sizzle reels. So they would have to, you know, create this censorship and media blackout. What do you think this was what they were laying here? Right. Laying the precedent here of picking apart the press, delegitimizing them, you know what I'm saying? And then they just go into full-scale blackout with the media from Is It Real in the US, you know what I mean? Which is retarded if these are the people Why did they spend the money to control social media? So they can do exactly what they're doing now.
They're doing now, right?
They're cashing in on the investment. This is what they put the bread up for to begin with. That they have to slow the tide of negative sentiment against them in what they call the digital front, which is a field that they don't have preparation to do battle in. So
they haven't mapped it out, right?
Yeah, they know that they was losing the engagement over here, especially if they attempt to do it fair. So they have to do it unfair. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So it's everything is denial. Everything is denial. Everything is denial. Like, oh no, that ain't happened. Oh no, that ain't happened. Oh no, that ain't happened. And if you don't got no footage to show and prove, and they know that we live in a show me, you know what I'm saying, a show and tell of society, they're gonna deny everything until they can no longer deny it. Then they're gonna find another excuse.
Oh man, they're gonna deny that shit. You got to catch them with their hand in the cookie jar.
Even then,
they still denying it, right? And they still denying it,
right? These are masters at spin. You feel me? It's next level with them at this point. I've never seen spin to this degree. And again, it had to be coordinated because they had to beat the rest of the media into compliance for them to even go along with the BS. Because
they all locked in.
It's such a layup for independent media. And I told you, I said post C19, there's two distinct industries that can be infiltrated because they're disrupted as ish. Why? Because they no longer have the faith and the trust of the American people. Medicine and media are both disruptible industries because they're full of BS and they got exposed in the C19 situation. So, and he came with the last piece of it. You know what I'm saying? Put all of them under his deodorant. Utilize the courts to go after and sue them, right? Put them on notice that if you're not carrying my byline, don't carry nothing at all. Find something else to do. You know what I'm saying? Go get the exclusive with Tiger Woods, but don't be talking about stuff that, and even that's involving them. So you can't even.
Yeah, I didn't know he was with a Trump.
He with a Trump, bro.
His girl is a Trump. Laura Trump or something. The heli.
Yeah, he would. That's why. You know what I mean? That's why he's Trump.
Why he crashing out? What time is your engagement with the professor?
It's supposed to be at 8. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Let me bring Chocolate Godiva in the building before we get out of here. And what?
Oh, you had my homegirl Tangi on earlier.
Yeah, Tangi. Yeah, she been doing her thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Yeah, that's Hershey, and we got Chocolate Godiva over here. But Tangi been heating it up. They feeling over here.
All right,
let's go with the Godiva.
Y'all want some tea? Okay. Then don't say I ain't never give y'all nothing. Don't say I ain't never give y'all nothing. Okay. Word on the curb is Iran, they playing hardball. They ain't just coming up with them Lego movies and them Lego music videos. Girl, they in and out of everybody emails, everybody information. They went inside of the Mossad chief's information. Bitch, and word on the curb is at one point, the Mossad and the Trump administration was fed the fuck up with Benjamin Netanyahu, baby. They was fed the fuck up. And the Trump administration and the Mossad chief got emails going back and forth talking about how they was finna Benjamin Netanyahu and that they was going to move forward with the attacks on Iran, right? Now, this comes shortly after Benjamin Netanyahu and Trump was having a conversation based upon everything that's going down on the ground in the Middle East or what have you, that Hezbollah and Iran, they messing up everything when it comes to their bases. So Benjamin Netanyahu was like, hey, can I pick up my Israeli bases and instead just build them in America and leave them there in America because they keep fucking up our satellites and shit like that? And Donnie was like, yeah, we got you. We got your back, girl. We got your back. And Iran released some emails that basically said, no, they don't, girl. No, they don't. Now, y'all remember what I had said in the beginning of this. One thing about America, they don't do loose ends. So if shit ain't going their way, they finna start snipping and cutting loose ends, cut out the middleman. And word on the curve is the Trump administration and them emails, I haven't seen them just yet, but baby, the folks is talking about it on the street, and they said, and you know the streets, once the streets get to talking, the streets, they ain't never lie, okay? They said the Trump administration was considering cutting out the middleman, Benjamin Netanyahu, and just going around them and taking the lead on this whole Iran situation. Because the U.S. troops are the only ones that's going to be going up against Iran. And if the Israeli troops is going to be hiding in shelters, they just going to leave them there. If we got to do the heavy lifting, we just going to leave them there, cut out all the middlemen, and get the job done on our own. And word on the curve is that the Mossad, the emails and the Mossad, between the Mossad and the Trump administration, they was high-key agreeing with him. Like, you know what? He holding us back. At this point, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is he really even doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we waiting on them, and they becoming a liability. That's what they said. Words like liability was getting thrown around. And I said, what? That's crazy. When they gonna get rid of him? I just had to ask some questions because I was being messy as hell. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading everything that's going down over there, and they saying that Hezbollah's close to taking over Kiryat Shimona, and that they've been blowing up different parts of the Haifa refinery. So they now no longer looking like an asset and more so looking like a liability. I was like, damn, that's insane. With Yemen over there hitting the south, Hezbollah hitting the north, Iran hitting central, baby, y'all have quickly gone from being the allied occupied force to being the biggest liability within the region. So much so that President Sisi had to beg Trump to stop this shit because oil is now almost at $200 a barrel. Remember, they projected it was going to reach $217 per barrel by the end of this month. Girl, they talking about cutting ties. They talking about snipping. I was like, oh, y'all is nasty. Y'all is crazy. How you gonna cut your own partner out of this situation, Trump? But again, you remember, America don't do loose ends. And the minute you start to become, you know, a limb that got bit by the zombie, baby, they gonna cut you off. They gonna cut your ass off so quick, so motherfucking fast, bitch. But I just want to come over here and tell y'all that because they said that Hezbollah over there in Kiryat Shimona, after blowing up several different areas of Kiryat Shimona, raising Hezbollah flags. I was like, what? Now I'm waiting for the information to come, but it hasn't hit the internet just yet. But the people that's on the ground over there in the vicinity, they saying that, yeah, they clearing Kiryat Shimona out, bitch. They clearing that ass out. And that Israel is becoming way more of a liability than America had anticipated.
Yeah. I can see it. I see it. You know what I mean? But we also have to factor in that propaganda is how they maintain their warfare. Okay. It is still propagandized, and they do a lot of lying. You know what I mean? They do a lot of lying, and they never show the left hand what the right is doing. What are your feelings on this whole thing with is it real and the attacks that they're seeing on both sides? I just read an article that Lebanon, they took a town, they basically pushed them out for the first time ever, and had the IDF retreating and whatnot, and Hezbollah took a town, they took a province somewhere, maybe what she was just talking about.
Yeah,
or whatever happened. Huh?
It sounded like what she was talking about.
One of the settlements that Israel had on their border of Lebanon, they basically took it back.
It sounded like what she was speaking on.
Yeah. What she was talking about, yeah. So listen, 8 o'clock is right around the corner. I have to clear the stage and let you come with our good brother, Professor Smalls. Just give us a wrap up, give us an update about April 4th. Just let us know what's going on, and then we'll get back to it. I know it's a lot, but in the whole scheme of things, for the 44 guard, just leading up to how you see things, there's so much things that we could talk about. The AI aspect, the autonomous weaponization of the AI, how that's being played out.
So much. AI automation is one thing. I want to talk about the financial reset. I want to talk about the stable coins. I want to talk about the Clarity Act. I want to talk about Bitcoin mining. I want to speak about these AI data centers that they took out.
Yes. And how they declared Anthropic and Nvidia targets. Iran, they declared them targets.
I want to speak about Amazon, how they busting their head in, right? Because they was using the same network to launch strikes.
Right.
I want to talk about how they're degrading and depreciating, right? This AI. And the contrast as well is that this whole play is being geared and ran by AI in terms of the warfare.
It's an AI war, right? This is an AI war.
There's a lot. There's so much going on.
When we gonna get back up?
It's unprecedented in the scope. We might have to do them all, and then I'll tell people, what my final decision is about the 4th, if that's fair enough.
Okay, say less, ladies and gentlemen.
Because not to cut you or cut myself off, but okay, the Artemis is launching soon. Again, and I spoke about it yesterday, but I'll touch on it real quick. And it's about being on point, being on time and listening to that inner voice, obeying it, and positioning yourself to be in the right place at the right time. So when I was telling people just a few months ago that there was going to be food instability, when I was telling people that things was about to get real crazy, when I was telling people, right, that the signs to me were clear, even if y'all don't see them, this is what I was talking about, right? So there's so much coming with food insecurity by way of the fact that people that were part of the old paradigm utilizing chemical fertilizer, depending on, whatever they told you, you had to plant because this is the crop of this and this is all of that is out the window. And farming, as an industry has just took a hit that's unprecedented, that's really going to fall on people in 6 to 7 to 8 months. You know what I'm saying? Because the food is not going in the ground, let alone you don't got the Migos to work the fields. Now you don't got the fertilizer, right? But we had already been working on these solutions. So we have liquid fertilizer, this non-chemical based that deals with microbes. And we have micro farming for a solution because macro farming is over now.
Right.
It's just a wrap.
We're in the age and the era of micro farming.
So, right, being a steward just means like, when the time was right to sit still, to listen and to obey what was being said and put yourself in preparation, you know what I'm saying?
Receiver, yes.
And these are the ways that things that we call prophecy work. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to Professor Zhang and the new predictability market that comes with calling these particular plays, but I think it just comes by way of observation and being still enough, because some things that you can't see will be shown to you. Let me say that again. Some things that you can't see will be shown to you. And that's the way the spirit realm works. So spirit realm in all of December was showing me what was coming in 2020. Right. But rather than making a lecture out of it and getting in front of a camera and packaging it where it's digestible or convincible to the people, you know what I'm saying? Got on my A game and got ready you know, these last few mineral ministries, I gave all of the cloth, all of the backdrop, all of the perspective about what's taking place and is it real right now. I gave you the scripture that shows you this is about to be ordained. You know what I'm saying? I gave you the scripture that shows you, yo, yeah, the daughters of Zion, they about to be crying in a minute. What makes you laugh finna make you cry. So it's like every single layup and every single, and then I'm going back and seeing all of these memories from 10, 15, 12 years ago. Let's not even talk about the blood moons. And I'm not saying all that to say that I'm better than anyone or have anything more figured out than anyone.
Right.
I'm saying I'm amazed collectively that the echo chamber that we do exist in has a lot of value, because the things that are being said and shared is really the things that we need to look at and look forward to when it comes time to move forward and take advantage of the reshaping of the new world. I don't see us in nothing but the best position possible. And I refuse to entertain any other thought, idea, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or reality. So I very much want to share. I have an over amount to share, right? So I just want to make sure that it's making the best sense. I want people to get their hands in the dirt more than anything, more than me telling you something or convincing you of something or showing you something or breaking something down or decoding something. That shit is great. You know what I'm saying? But I need you to be active for yourself right now and your family, not as an emergency and not as a reaction. I want you to do it because you want to do it, right? I also want to remind you that you kind of like you have limited options as well, because you not doing it, you not preparing, you not taking it serious is going to put you in a weird predicament down the road when they're going to come at you with insects because they don't got no more fuel to make anything of quality for you, right? This is the opportunity that we have to make the great pivot with the ecologically friendly, sustainable products that we have been magnetizing to our orbit for quite some time now. So now is really the time, and it's and then paying it forward to say, well, yeah, our community, the people that rock with us and are in direct line to this information, yeah, they should have access to the best stuff as well. It's just like 2020, right? The world was suffering, and I'm so sorry, so bad. But people in our network, they was lit.
Yeah. What do you feel about this energy lockdown that they're talking about?
Again, it's the same. Again, and you know, 2020 was about, we said what? It was a global reset. But when I did the knowledge and I did the homework, you know what I'm saying? The global reset came down to two things, right? It was an energy reset and it was a financial reset. So what did I do with my stupid ass? I was the one that realized, well, the energy and the dollar is connected because the energy is called petrol and the dollar is called petrodollar. So I was like, if you push an EV, right, which they was, to replace petrochemicals, I'm looking at the billionaires and the trillionaires that are fat, literally, to say, yo, they just not gonna switch, right? And then the solvency of the dollar is dependent and contingent on them still selling oil. So I said, how they gonna sell electric vehicles and oil at the same time?
Right.
Now we see how. Now we see how. Now it comes full circle. Now it makes sense. Now you see what? The dissolution of petrol and the petrodollar at the same time to replace with what?
EV.
Clean gas and the digital dollar, right? Yeah.
Right. Because they're going to get on that carbon footprint shit too.
All of that, right?
All of
so
that.
Remember when we had to pay gas fees, right? For the crypto, and it was clean gas, right? So now comes the switcheroo. You feel me? Where now they're able to offload the old world and usher in the new world. I'm saying we need to be in position so we could intercept that pass and we could catch the Hail Mary at the same time. So
let them know, right? Let them know where they could get in touch with you about the micro farming, the home farming, and everything that you were doing over there at Farmy.
www.farmyorganics is the new website. We got consultations, everything over there as well. So Farmy Organics is the site. Please join me immediately following this show. I have a special presentation with Professor James Small, and it's called a reparations report. And this is going to be one for the books, a legendary one with a legend. You know what I'm saying?
Yo. Legend. Yes, sir. Now that's gonna be dope. I look forward to that, ladies and gentlemen. We are gonna transit right over. We're gonna end this show, and then we're going to start the stream with Professor Smalls, so we can have this global conversation about the reparations and what just took place at the UN, and it will be broken down by the elder in ways that only the elder can break it down. So yes, once again, Bob Law, the elder, rise in power. Your impact is undeniable, and we will keep you alive in our name and in memory. Go ahead and visit this site, ladies and gentlemen, farmyorganics.com. And Blue is we're gonna be doing an interview coming up real soon with him and H Factor and whoever and the other members, so we could actually show some video and take you guys through a little tour of the farming.
Absolutely, yes, real time.
All right, y'all. So with that being said, peace, love, and light, and we're gonna end this. No song at the end. We're just gonna go out, and we'll bring it back with the new show with Blue. All right.
I appreciate you, God.
All right, y'all. Peace.
All right. Peace.
If you grow, tap in with Blue. If you got land, if you live off the grid, if you live in a big city, a mega city, it's time to get food sovereign.
Yeah, family. Yeah, you don't need tracts of land. You don't need dirt. You don't need soil. You know what I'm saying? Please holler so we can share with you the methodology that that actually works towards food production 365 days out of the year. So we can no longer be dependents. We can no longer sit on our thumbs and wait for solutions to drop out of the sky. It just don't work that way.
Right.
And food production has been degraded substantially in this country. And I already was on a situation where I ain't trusted. They was putting jabs, and I mean, it's just so much.
It's crazy, right?
Enough is enough. And it's time to do for self. And I just want to show you that it's not as difficult as you may think. Because if we knew that it was as easy as it is, then what's our excuse then?
Word. Make it plain, man.
Again, this is in the spirit of service, being of service to community, sharing information that you can actually utilize that's impactful for you and your family, because we do love you.
All right. We're gonna end this with the 72-hour boot camp that's taking place at April the 18th to the 20th, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in North Carolina, if you want to come through to the North Carolina and tap in with us, make your arrangements now. All right.
Been laid off, passed over, or just tired of building somebody else's dream? Listen close, because what's happening right now in AI is not a trend. It's a transfer of power, and the window is open. There is a new class of operator emerging. They're not coders, they're not corporations. They're the designers, the visionaries, the builders who finally have a machine that matches their imagination. It's called the Claw Bot, and it doesn't just generate ideas, it executes them autonomously, on command, while you sleep. The agentic AI boom is here. Agents agents that write, build, publish, automate, and operate without hand-holding, and the people learning to command them right now. They're the ones who are going to own the next 5 years, not the ones waiting for a job posting, not the ones watching from the sidelines, the builders, the ones who show up. That's why we built the Open Claw 72-hour boot camp. 72 hours to go from zero to operator. You'll build your first Clawbot, deploy your first agentic workflow, and walk out with leverage you can monetize immediately. 3 days, real skills, no fluff. The revolution doesn't wait, neither should you. Link is live. Get in where you fit in. The evolution will be digitized.
Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen. Peace, love, and light. Stay over for the night. We're gonna be on this channel right here. The next broadcast is with Professor Small, and that is coming up right now.